Hello everyone, I'm Weston's Weatherwise, and in today's video we break down the upcoming severe weather coming to the United States. If we go ahead and just dive right into things, we actually have a bit, now we do actually, I should say, have a slight risk, two separate ones, and now it is not a higher risk than yesterday. Our tornado threat is a bit more elevated. As we can see here, we actually have a 5% tornado risk in play today back here in portions of northern Illinois and parts of southern Wisconsin. And a 2% surrounds that does extend into portions of Iowa. And then we do actually have a 2% tornado risk here in portions of Wyoming and Colorado. So we're definitely going to have to watch that closely. 15% wind outlooks for both of those areas, as you can tell here. And this 15% wind outlook is a bit further south, so we're definitely going to watch it. And our severe hail outlook is 15% back here in Colorado and Wyoming, and a 5% back here in Wisconsin. Now, one thing I'd like to point out, I do think a bit more of a elevated tornado threat may get going back here in portions of southeastern Michigan if we could get a discrete storm out there, along with portions of eastern and southeastern Ohio back into western Pennsylvania. I do think a bit more of a elevated tornado threat could organize. Moving on to tomorrow, we do actually have a marginal risk of severe weather extending from portions of Missouri back into the northeast. And we actually, crazy enough, have a 2% tornado risk up here in New York. Yeah, pretty crazy, but a 2% tornado risk is centered up there in New York, 5% wind, and there is not a hail risk. Now, moving on to models and what you could see today, back here in Colorado and Wyoming, we're going to see storms fire right around 3-4 o'clock, and they're going to be quite intense. But they don't look to be super long-lived, so we'll watch it closely, but overall, nothing too crazy. And here's the severe weather threats Wednesday evening / night here in Colorado. Our tornado risk on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 2. Our wind gusts are at a 4. Our hail is at a 4. And our flooding is at a 1. Now, moving on to models and what we could see today in portions of Michigan and Wisconsin. First, let's center attention to Wisconsin. You can tell here, right around the 3 o'clock hour, we could see storms start to fire off, and these are going to be intense and push eastward fast. And you can tell they're quite intense. These storms down here, these do appear to be rotating, so we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on this for you. And I may actually have 2 uploads today, depending on what happens. Now, moving on here to southeast and parts of Michigan, you can tell here, this is what I'm talking about. If we could get a storm like this back here in Michigan, maybe some of these, I would not rule out a isolated tornado to come out of one of these. So definitely be weather aware today if you are in Michigan. Here's the severe threats for Wisconsin. I do actually have the tornado risk at the highest threat today at a 5 out of 10. Our wind gust at a 4 out of 10. Our hail and flooding is at a 1 out of 10. And here in Michigan, I do have our tornado threat at a 1 because I do think it is a conditional risk back there in Michigan. Our wind gust, I do have a 2. Hail and flooding are also at a 1. Now, moving on to tomorrow and what we could expect. And wait. So yes, never mind. This is today what we could expect in portions of Ohio and Pennsylvania. Storms are going to fire, and these are the storms in Pennsylvania. I would not rule out maybe a brief, weak tornado. And then these storms back here in Ohio pushing into northwestern Pennsylvania. I would not rule out a brief and weak tornado. But overall, nothing too crazy and nothing that warrants me showing you a severe graph. And moving it to the northeast, and so this is what we could see today in the northeast. overall, nothing too much. Maybe some heavy rain and maybe a few gusty winds. Now, this is moving on to tomorrow. Now, I believe this is where we want. Yes, so this is for tomorrow. And I actually need to pull this back to 6Z so we can see out far enough. Gotta move this to Thursday. So Thursday, overall, nothing too severe. We actually may get a bit more of a organized cluster of storms to push through portions of Ohio into portions of Pennsylvania. And we can't rule out a brief tornado or two. So we are definitely going to watch it. If we actually move here into the northeast of what we could expect tomorrow, till remnants of today. And then tomorrow, overall, it doesn't even look too intense. You can tell here in our 2% tornado risk, we may get a few storms, but overall, does not look too crazy. And moving it back into the Midwest, what we could expect tomorrow, it's going to show you that same picture. Really nothing. We actually could see a few isolated storms go up. And then we might see this cluster push into. I would not rule out our marginal risk getting extended to here. But we're just going to have to see. And here's what radar could look like over the course of the next month. I did show you our jet stream and how it could shape up yesterday. So I think we're going to start doing that about every other video. So moving forward, you can tell what that jet stream is showing. More severe events in the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and Northern Plains. And maybe some rain every other week in the plains. But overall, nothing too crazy. East Coast definitely could get a bit rowdy if this hurricane develops that it's picking up on at the end of July. Way too far out to forecast, though. And like I had said, just overall, just going to have to watch it closely. And the European model is going to show that same story. Overall, just storms staying in the Midwest, Northern Plains, and Ohio Valley. So definitely going to watch it. This is that system that I was picking up on yesterday. Now we're going to have to watch this. It is a bit farther to the north on today's run. So we'll definitely watch it for you. But overall, just always just going to keep an eye out for it. And last but not least, you can see our probabilities have shifted west now. Florida would likely not be impacted by this tropical cyclone if it were to form. And we have kept 40% chances, but I think that is going down, and I would even put it at a 30% chance now. I do not think this will develop. And here is why. So here is the GFS model. You can see it does not have it developing a low pressure system. Here's the European model. Does not have it developing a low pressure system. Then the Icon model. It does, but it has it developing a very weak low pressure system and not for long. So overall it may develop, but just shortly. And once again, closing in on 1,000 subscribers, 31 away at the time of making this video. So if you could do me a favor and please share this to your friends and family. And if you are new here, please subscribe if you are new as we push for 1,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.